keep hearing it sounds as if someone is running on the roof. And I thought it must be angels up above our heads. Yeah. Just guarding and guiding all that we do, celebrating, dancing for our benefit and our blessing. Good morning, beloved ones. Good morning. Yes, turn to someone and tell them, you are my beloved. You are my beloved. Yes, you are my beloved. Yes, you are my beloved. Even if it's a stranger, just think, you're my beloved. I want to take this time to wish everyone a happy and belated Valentine's Day. Yes, happy Valentine's Day. And thank you for Alfie in honor of Valentine's Day. And also I want to take a moment to thank to the anonymous member who so lovingly sent a rose to every staff person. I want to say thank you on behalf of the staff and behalf of myself. It was just such a wonderful gesture, and it's really nice to be appreciated and actually to be loved. So whoever you are, we thank you so much. You know, this seems to be one of those years when holidays and or special occasions or special observances seem to be falling on top of one another. First we had the inauguration, and at the same time it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s celebration for his holiday. And now we have Lent and Valentine's Day. Lent was on Wednesday, and Valentine's Day, followed by Valentine's Day on Thursday. That's coming up Monday. That ain't in my talk yet. Right now I'm working Lent and Valentine's Day. Now I'm going to enjoy Monday, but I'm working with these two concepts, you know, because every now and then, for mental stimulation for myself, because think about it, you know, sometimes I have to, every Sunday, come up and say, what am I going to talk about now that I haven't said before? What? So every now and then, for mental stimulation, for my own, you know, testing of my skills and ability, I like to take two seemingly disconnected subjects to see if I can find a connection. So here we go. We have Lent that was on Wednesday and Valentine's Day that was on Thursday. And I began to meditate and pray and say, well, how can these two be tied to one another? So let's start first with Lent. Lent, of course, we know begins on Ash Wednesday, and it is observed for 46 days or 40 days if you don't count the Sundays. Usually you don't count the Sundays, but so 40 days or 46 days in preparation for Easter. And it is traditionally a time of fasting and praying. And for some Christians, it's a time to actually think about one's life or one's life choices. It's a time to reflect upon the direction that your life seems to be moving in. And also, in addition to that, it's a time in which you are encouraged to give up something, to give up some desire or to give up some habit, to show your willingness to make a sacrifice as Jesus did for humankind. So it's about making a sacrifice, or to show your willingness to make a sacrifice. And some, you know, some people give up meat, some people give up sweets, or maybe alcohol or cigarettes, whatever. They give up something, usually of a physical nature, in the physical. But as we know, lasting change and transformation must come from within, right? It has to be something within you that changes, not just an outer activity or ceasing of giving up meat or sweets or cookies, which would be hard for me to do, but it's not about that. Charles Fillmore, who's the co-founder of Unity, wrote a book, which Elva Stewart, I don't know if Elva's here, Elva is teaching on Thursdays, called Keep a True Lent. Keep a True Lent. Now, it's not about giving up something in the physical. And for us metaphysicians, keeping a true Lent is about fasting from negativity. Fasting from negative thoughts, feelings, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes, speech, energy, action. Fasting from all of those things. Because if you can keep your consciousness free of negativity, you would be so empowered and ready for the resurrecting power that comes with Easter. See, Easter is about, right, honing that power that enables you to resurrect above any limitation. So what happens is if you can keep your consciousness free from any kind of limiting thought or feeling or energy or attitude, you'll be empowered and ready to take your place in being victorious in 40 days from now. All right, that's wonderful. 40 days of Easter. You would be cleansed. You would be purified. You would be so filled with the Spirit of God that you could indeed overcome and transform any situation and any circumstance. Because there would just be this pure energy that is flowing through you, unhindered by thoughts of lack or limitation or doubt or fear or anger or hurt or whatever. So, we are fasting and letting go. Fasting and letting go of all negativity or negative thoughts. Now, we know this as metaphysicians as well, that when you let go, when you create a vacuum or you create some space, the law of nature demands that we put something in its place. When you give up something, when you let go of something, the law of nature demands that you put something in its place. I don't know if you remember the scripture that Jesus used when he talks about the woman who got rid of some demons in her house, cleansed her house, and your house is your consciousness, spiritually, metaphysically, cleansed her house, but then after a while, 7 more demons, worse than the ones before, came in. Why? Because she didn't put anything else new in its place, in her house, in her consciousness. So we understand that we're creating as we fast and we release and we let go. We know as metaphysicians, we must put something in its place. That for every denial that we must have an affirmation. We must begin to replace the negative with a positive. So we've got to go from fasting to feasting. Feasting on the word, feasting on the truth, feasting on that which is of God, feasting on the good, feasting on divine love. You know, and that's what the word agape comes from. It's a love feast. Feasting on that energy of love, which is fulfilling and filling and healing and restoring and renewing and feeds the spirit and touches the spirit. In fact, the word agape is actually, it means it's a form of love, and it comes from and it's based on early biblical days when folks would gather together to pray and to feast on the teachings and the essence of love, of the love for Christ, the love of Christ, and the love for one another. They would have a love feast. It's sort of a spiritual Valentine's Day. You know, they would love on one another. And I'm thinking, that's the connection. I don't know if you can see it. That's the connection. When we fast from negativity, that is, keep a true Lent, we allow love to come into being. Right? That's the connection. Love, 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 love. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be loved. But I'm here to tell you, friends, that the real power is in loving. Not necessarily having others love us, although that is nice. We like to get our flowers and our candy and our compliments. That's nice. But the real power comes in our loving others. Because I can sit back here all the time and just receive. But when you have an opportunity to actually begin to let love flow from within you, that's when you're touching something higher and greater than yourself. One definition of agape is selfless, sacrificial, unconditional love. Agape is selfless, sacrificial, unconditional love. And when we can actually find and express selfless, sacrificial, unconditional love for one another, especially for those whom we have deemed as unlovable, we gain a mighty strength and a mighty power. We become masters when we can do that. We become compassionate heart beings that are able to transform and heal any situation and circumstance. But this is no easy task. This ain't easy. Have you found that out yet? That's right. It's not easy. That's why I behold the Christ in you. Easier said than done. It's not easy. And we might be able to handle and to succeed with the selfless, sacrificial part of this definition. Because, from time to time, we are selfless. We can think of others. We are thoughtful. We send flowers. We do things. That's not too bad. We can do that. And there are times, certainly, when we make sacrifices, whether for our children or someone else, we can do that. But that unconditional part may be problematic for us, Because we have to face it. Sometimes our love has conditions. Let's just be honest, right? Our love has conditions, and we find it challenging to express love toward those who have no regard for us, or who have used and abused us, who are toxic to our well-being, who are in total opposition to us. That takes a different kind of love. That takes an ability under those circumstances. It might take the movement of spirit, of a force that's higher than our personalities, our human personalities. It more than likely will take an act of God, right? To love like that. Yeah, I thought about that. And I was laughing about that. It'll take an act of God. But listen, if we are honest, we'll have to admit that there are those times when we do not feel as if we can offer love. There are just times, there's situations, there's people and circumstances where we just can't feel as if I can't go there. I can't love them. I can't love that situation. I was on the phone with my mother just yesterday, and I was talking about the behavior and actions of a family member that has just been weighing on me and just, breaking my heart. And I said to her, I almost feel as if I hate this person. Now notice I said, I almost feel as if. There's two things, as if. I came nowhere close to saying I hate them, but I said I almost feel, because I knew that would be a trigger for my mother. Because even as kids, she would never allow us to say that we hated anybody. That was just unacceptable to her. You could not utter those words. You know how you come and say, I hate Johnny. You could not say that in front of my mother. And so, of course, the moment I said that, as grown as I am, she quickly said, do not say that. She said, you can say you don't like them, and you can say you don't like their behavior, but as a Christian, you cannot hate them. I was like, oh, man. Because we're never too old to be chastised or corrected by our parents, right? It didn't matter. She wasn't having it. She didn't care how old I was. She said, wait a minute. And I knew that. But I just needed an opportunity to vent. I needed an opportunity to acknowledge my difficulty in being able to offer love to that individual at this particular time. Now, you know, when it's hard to love someone, that's because more than likely we are judging something about them. We're judging. We are upset that they are not necessarily measuring up to what we have considered to be the right thing to be doing, or the right way, or the right actions, or being or behaving as we desire them to, or think that they should. And so I wasn't there. I still wasn't there. And I was trying to write my talk, you know, about how wonderful it is to love God and all this. And all this stuff was just churning in my spirit. And so I put my talk down. I said, I'm going to go to sleep. And I said, Spirit, when I get up, you know, do something to touch my heart and to change so that I could get up here this morning and be authentic and be in my right place. And so when I got up, I realized that I didn't dig deep enough, that I really don't dig deep enough in my loving. Because I went to some of my books where I had some quotes, and I said, I'm going to read all these quotes until I find something that rings for me. And I found one, and it was by a gentleman named Hazrat Khan. And he said, the nature of love is as the nature of water in the depth of the earth. If we do not dig deep enough, we find mud, not water. But when we dig deep, we find pure water. And that's true. If you don't go deep enough, when we get caught up in a person's surface flaws or their deep flaws or whatever, and when we get caught up in judging their actions and their behaviors without really also trying to see their heart and their soul and their hurts and their pain, their lack of esteem or whatever, all we're going to get is mud. And then our ability to truly love is muddy. Have you ever had muddy love? That's right. We've had some muddy love, right? Don't feel right. But it's when, if we can take the time to dig deep within our own heart and soul, not necessarily theirs, but it does help to see if you can get some understanding, but to dig deep within our own heart, that gives us the power to actually begin to love without conditions. Digging deep will enable us to really see the other as a child of God, and perhaps as confused and complicated as you are. Right? Because we can't sit up here and say, I'm perfect. Can't do it. There are times when we are confused, when our best selves don't come to the forefront. And what is it that we want when that happens? We want to be loved. We want to be forgiven. We want to be understood. We all want that, but we don't want to give that. So you can't have it both ways. But if we learn to dig deep, to go beyond the surface mud and the complications and the stuff that they have, that you have, and when you can begin to dig deep and to touch this place, this sacred place within you, then all of a sudden you'll be able to touch the Spirit of God. You'll touch something that is divine, that pure water, the living waters of truth. See, what we're seeing right now is this covered up false sense of who we think people are and who we think we are. But when you dig deep and you touch the real spirit of a person's soul and heart, you see God. Whether you like it or not, you see the Spirit of God in them. It is only when I can see the other as myself that I'm able to find compassion. And so I had to dig deep and find out, yes, I don't do the exact things that they do, but I have my moments when I am not shining forth as my very best. But when I can see them as myself, desiring what I desire, to be loved and to be valued and to be, just a child of God, accepted, then I can find compassion. Someone said that compassion is love without judgment. And I love that. Compassion is love without judgment. Because when I am able to get into my own heart and soul, and to the heart and soul of another, and to begin to see them without judgment, then I am able to free myself from my judgments, and I can free them as well. And then when my judgments are gone, guess what? Love appears. It's just that simple. Love appears. Fasting from judgments allows love to reign. And while we may have to set some boundaries and on behavior, because that's okay, doesn't mean that you still set yourself up to be a doormat. This is not about that. You still may have to set boundaries on behavior to keep yourself safe. But it is also when you are limitless in your love and your compassion that you will keep yourself divine. So that's our task and our goal. How can I touch the limitless love of God that is in me and allow that love to do its healing work? That I don't have to be out here trying to change and fix and work and, have them do this, that, and the other, but just to touch that love. So I wish you love. I wish you love, for to be love is to be loved. It's a play on words. And to be loved is to be the beloved. B-E-L-O-V-E-D. Beloved, beloved, all in the same. Fasting, feasting, loving, and letting go is all divine. So I say to you, be blessed and to be a blessing, and to love without conditions. Go deep. Blessings. Namaste.